Welcome to Revlog, where Aaron is wearing his UT tie today.
Yes, it is.
And
Yes, it is. Hook 'em
where
horns.
Brian knows all the old hymns.
That's right.
You know, I'm amazed at your old hymn trivia ability.
It's his age. It's due to his age.
What did we learn earlier? Was he 70? What was
Yeah, he's 30 years older than me.
30 years older than you.
Somewhere in there. Yeah.
You notice I'm not even mounting a defense here. I'm just lying down like a martyr.
So you know a hymn I didn't know. The Great Physician?
Great Physician.
I don't know this hymn, but it's in your repertoire. Huh?
Sweetest name in seraph song.
That's right.
Is
That's it.
That's good.
I'm so proud.
Yeah, me too. We love you.
Hook 'em horns.
No, we're going to get comments about that for sure.
Well, let's move to the text for today. We're in Matthew chapter 14, starting in verse 14. It's Jesus feeding the 5,000 plus. So, Aaron, why don't you give us your initial reaction to this text?
Well, I think it's something that one of us said in the last couple of weeks, but that here you have this crowd and you have two complete different visions of the crowd. The first thing that Matthew records is Jesus sees them and has compassion on them. Mm-hmm. The disciples, it's a desolate place. Send them away. We're tired.
Good point.
And just how it's amazing how Jesus, when he just looks at them, his first reaction is to have compassion on them. And that is not the reaction of the disciples, which is probably pretty telling of our reaction to people, and particularly in ministry.
I know that's true for me.
That's right. Sure.
Crowd in.
Yeah, I mean, how often do we just want to be done for the day?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, we're done for the day. Let's turn in, and Jesus says,
"That's right.
Let's feed them."
That's right.
Yeah, what a beautiful thing. Brian, what were your initial reactions here to this text?
I wonder about how this will go over, but I just I hear Jesus.
What
saying,
a great qualifier to begin his comments. How is this going to go?
Was it tilapia or was it mahi? Is that what you're going to ask? What kind of fish?
Snapper. I hear Jesus saying, "You give them something to eat," and I don't think Jesus was being coy here.
Another kind of fish.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I think that you put that together with some other scriptures that we have that say, Jesus says, you will do greater things than these,
That's
because
right.
I go to the Father. And later in John 6, or another treatment of this very story, it says Jesus already had in mind he said this to test them. He already had in mind what he was going to do. And you could say, well, he meant that that it means that Jesus already knew they were going to fail and he was going to have to come to the rescue. I understand that, but I think that Jesus really meant it. You give them something to eat. I think Jesus's desire is to empower us, strengthen us, grow us to the point that we can use the creativity, that he can open up dimensions of creativity in us to do ministry that we otherwise would not have been aware that we can do.
Yes, that's an interesting thought, that Jesus was maybe questioning or challenging their faith in this moment.
Sure.
You to do this.
It's interesting. Though, as I read it earlier today, I did read it that way. Just as a passing thought, it's like, well, you could read it like this, like Jesus kind of putting it to him, and it made me think, what was he doing there? So it's interesting that you pointed out that way, because I mean, it'd be interesting to know what the original Greek was or how it's translated.
Sure.
But it's
and there's no doubt that, of course, Jesus he knew the state of their growth and their faith and so forth, and it's not a stretch to say that Jesus had an idea that he was going to eventually need to do something here, but bringing them along,
bringing them into that moment of faith,
and beginning to stretch them. And
sometimes you have to be pushed to the edge before you can turn around and realize, you want me to feed them? I can't do that.
Yes.
So we got to turn back around and go, well, how is that going to happen?
Right, exactly.
But first we have to be pushed to the edge to go, go try.
We do.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. We often need to come to points of recognition where we realize, I can't do this, but God
Right,
can, right?
right.
That's that moment where we realize our own shortfalls.
Because again, their first reaction was send him away.
Yes.
Right.
And Jesus says, we'll go feed him. We can't do that.
Yes.
And so
It-
that-
it's
that-
exactly right.
that-
You cannot
That's
do that,
right. That's right.
But faith in the Lord
Mhm.
can bring that about.
That's right.
Yeah. So, Aaron, let's move to questions of the text. What question came to mind as you were
Well,
studying?
as I looked at my observation, how Jesus saw the crowds, the obvious thing to look is, how do I see people when they come? You know, do I see people as a burden? Do I see ministry as a here's something else I have to do, or do I look at it and go, wow, what an opportunity, what a privilege this is? And you know, sometimes I get it right, and sometimes I get it wrong.
Sure.
But this is a good reminder that Jesus saw all these people. We can serve all these people, and I probably need to look at it that way much more than I do.
Yeah, no, I get it. Brian, what question came to mind for you?
Well, I was thinking earlier today, what would I say if Jesus said, you give them something to eat? And then I thought, wait a minute. Is it possible that he's already asking me that question and has been for a long time? Possibly already saying to me, you give them something to eat in various ways. You know,
Sure.
you figure this out, you do this. And I'm happy to just to sit, excuse me, on my perch, which is another kind of fish, and say, you know, I just am looking at everything and, you know, asking God to intervene as necessary. But he may be saying to me, you know, there's one story in which Jesus was teaching along, and somebody in the crowd said, Lord, tell my brother to share the inheritance with me. And Jesus said, basically, that's not my job. Or he said, who made me an arbiter between the two of you? And he went on to talk about greed, which was the heart of the problem. But he didn't say, I'm going to do this work for you. Basically, there are certain things that we are given to do by God. And sometimes I think that he will say to us, you give them something to eat.
Well-
I've given you a mind, use it.
Think of the taking the metaphor of feeding. I mean, Peter and Jesus. I mean, one of the last conversations they had, just
Feed my sheep.
Feed my
That's-
sheep.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
He is calling us to do that.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. And Jesus is one of his last moments with the disciples. He's sitting on the beach and having breakfast, and
Yeah, I love that. Love that picture.
They have
yeah.
fish together. I don't know what kind of fish that they had together. If it was koi or perch or snapper or flounder. We'd love for your comments below if you would let us know what kind of fish you think
have we
Jesus
really gotten
Yes.
here?
fed his people. So,